This is Darth Matthew, host of the Star Wars Generations and Superhero Ethics podcast, and I find your lack of membership disturbing. You can free yourself from the ads of those rebel scum by going to theethicalpanda.com and clicking join for $5 a month, $55 a year. No more ads, only the episodes, just as the Emperor intended.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Star Wars Generations podcast. We are coming live to you from the People's Republic of Minneapolis, where the snow is bad, but the ice is worse. But we are finding our way to fight through it and talking about something completely fictional, something that has nothing to do with our real world, fascist governments taking over. We're going to be talking today about Season 4 of the Clone Wars, episodes 15 through 18. This is the arc in which Obi-Wan goes undercover and Anakin has feelings about it. I'm joined by Erin. Alex, our other co-host, is out taking photographs. If you've seen some of the great photographs of what's happening here in the streets of Minneapolis, it's quite possible that Alex has taken some of them. So give him some thought. Meanwhile, Erin has been out protesting. I've been doing other stuff to help with the anti-ICE efforts, but we're here. We're going to talk about Star Wars for a bit. Erin, how are we doing?
I'm actually doing really good this week. I've been out protesting basically every night this week. Well, yes, every night this week. And I'm going to say it fixes my mood. Being able to like go outside and scream and cry for a purpose instead of sitting on my couch and crying feels good. So I'm feeling more regulated this week compared to the last few weeks where I felt very trapped.
Yeah, I totally get that. I haven't been able to be out in public like that, but I've been doing some like driving around, keeping track of what ICE vehicles are doing, looking up license plates because there's all kind of shenanigans with that happening. And it feels good to be part of the solution, instead of just doom scrolling about the problem. So
yeah, join the community.
And plus, as I was mentioning, one of the places that's getting hit a lot is a taco place in our neighborhood. And so my spouse and I had said we were going to try and order DoorDash a lot less. But look, they need all of our support. They're losing business. So, well, we did order tacos 3 times this week, but it was for a good cause, So that's how I'm justifying those dollars and calories. Exactly. Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about these episodes. I picked this arc. It's one of my favorites. We'll give kind of a summary of it, but basically for those who may have seen it a while ago or haven't seen it at all, the overall plot is that Obi-Wan goes undercover. He pretends to be this bounty hunter who has killed Obi-Wan Kenobi. He does this because there's a plot apparently by bounty hunters to try and capture the Chancellor. And he goes undercover to solve it. And along the way, he goes through the Star Wars version of the Squid Games. Alex contributed that idea for us. Cad Bane gets involved. There's all kinds of shenanigans. Anakin has really strong kind of dark-sidey feelings about the fact that he thinks Obi-Wan is really dead. And by the end, of course, we save the day. The Chancellor is saved, but Anakin is left a little bit less trusting of the Council and of Obi-Wan.
Yeah. I feel like this whole episode is just Palpatine trying to get Anakin to fall to the dark side.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole thing. Of course, he's trying to cause some political unrest, conflict between the Separatists and the Republic, with Dooku trying to kidnap him and whatnot. But really, you see this moment where in, like, one of the final sequences of this episode arc, Count Dooku and Anakin are fighting, and Anakin has the upper hand for a second. You see Palpatine smile, and I had the realization that it's like, oh, this is when he originally hoped Anakin would kill Dooku, and it didn't work. So we have what we see in the Revenge of the Sith.
Right, and remember, Revenge of the Sith is also based on an attempt to capture Palpatine. So I think this is very much a dry run. Like, if this had worked, they wouldn't need Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is take 2 or maybe take 5 of the same basic idea.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot I want to talk about with the story itself, but since we're there, let's talk about Anakin in this, because how would you describe Anakin's reaction to the idea that Obi-Wan is killed?
Well, I mean, Ahsoka says at the funeral that Anakin hasn't spoken to anyone since it happened, so he clearly takes it very hard. And later he's ranting, I don't remember whether it's to the Council or to the Chancellor about, like, my master was killed, and he says my best friend, and you're not doing anything. that's what it was, because they took the bounties off of the bounty hunters because they needed them to be able to do the plot so it could be stopped.
Right.
And Anakin's like, why are you taking the bounty off his head when he literally murdered Obi-Wan? And that's one of the first big moments of Anakin being like, fuck you guys. And then Palpatine kind of gives him the wonderful idea of like, oh, well, Palpatine's like, I feel so unsafe and afraid. I would feel much better if big Anakin went and took care of this scary bounty hunter. And Anakin's like, yeah! And goes and fucks shit up.
Because let's be clear, the idea here isn't that Anakin understands like the reasoning and wants to do it a different way for strategic reasons. Anakin is angry. Anakin is upset that someone else has died. And just like happened with his mother, he's seeing red. And I think they wonderfully do this. Again, it's subtle, but just like happened a number of seasons ago that we talked about, early, one of the first moments we get of Anakin's emotions is at Obi-Wan's funeral, and you hear just a couple of notes of the dark side theme. But like you said, he is so obsessed with it, and then even when he thinks that they have captured the guy, he wants access to him. He wants to hurt the person. This is straight up that same for very good reason. If your best friend, if your mentor, if the guy who helped raise you from a little kid when your parents were killed was killed, obviously you're going to be angry. You're going to be upset. But a Jedi is supposed to resist this, and this is Anakin doing a real bad job of that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And then when Anakin does find out, he doesn't take it well. There's a great quote that he says where he says to Obi-Wan, "You lied to me. How many more lies have I been told by the Council? And how do you know that you have the whole truth?"
That's a great quote. He really turned that shit back around on Obi-Wan.
Yeah. So here's my question. Is this a really dumb move by the Council? Like, to me, I've always thought that one of the problems with the Jedi in the prequels and also in the Clone Wars is that they, like, the signs are there that Anakin is wrestling with the dark side, and this is not being an Anakin apologist. It's the sort of like a person can make terrible choices and you blame them for it, and you also ask, what could other people have done differently? Not blame is not zero sum. Giving the Jedi some blame doesn't take any away from Anakin. But like, I watch this and I think, how does Mace and Yoda and Obi-Wan not realize that what they're doing is causing Anakin to doubt them more, is causing Anakin to question them more, and that of course he's going to turn to someone else?
Yeah. I mean, I think they really didn't consider him at all because one, Mace doesn't give a fuck about Anakin, and two, the Jedi aren't supposed to have feelings. So they thought, well, Anakin needs to believe it for people to buy this, and he'll probably be a normal amount of Jedi upset, which they're fools for thinking so. But they thought, if we tell him the truth, we don't think he'll be able to put on a convincing performance, basically. And so they left him in the dark so that everyone would believe that Obi-Wan was actually dead. And it really it's a huge mistake, regardless of how you cut it, in my opinion, just because we see over and over that the Council leaving Anakin on the outside just pushes him further and further from the Jedi and towards the Chancellor. And we see it again. Like, after the Jedi frustrate him, he goes and he talks to the Chancellor. And the Chancellor's like, hey, maybe you should do something about it because your feelings are so valid.
Yeah. It's straight up grooming. And again, like, to say Anakin was groomed, he's still an adult by the time he makes the choices that he does, and he's responsible, but also so is the person. And it's also, when people are groomed, it's often because they're being isolated, not treated well by the people who should be keeping an eye out for them. So
and at this point, even though he is an adult, he's only 20 years old, I think. He's still very young.
Very much so. And there's one last moment I thought that, again, it's subtle, but it's so well done. On Nal Hutta, so one of the places they go to track this down is Nal Hutta, the planet of the Hutts that we saw in season 3, as we talked about with Cy Snoodles and her awesome act as the gangster Maul. MOL from gangster movies, not MAUL. That's a different topic. And on there's a bartender who doesn't want to give Anakin information, and Anakin force chokes him. And once again, we get kind of dark sidey music. What'd you think of that scene?
I mean, at this point, it's classic Anakin.
Mhm.
And at this point, once again, he always does it when the only person around to see it is Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And we do have other instances. I can't remember if it's later in the show or if we've already seen them where she does stand up to him. And I think in these moments where she does see this happening, it's just like, I think she's also really wrestling with Obi-Wan's death at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of, I mean, if I were her, I'd be a little scared of Anakin.
Yeah.
I'd be like, shit, I'm going to stand back. Like, he is clearly unstable right now. And if I try to argue with him, it's probably only going to make it worse.
Yeah, very much so. And I think it's very intentional that not only is force choking something that we in general associate with the Sith, I don't think we ever see anyone but Darth Vader do it. I mean, Luke does it a bit in Return of the Jedi, and that's supposed to be kind of significant. But I don't like in all the other stuff we've seen, does Palpatine or Dooku or Maul ever force choke someone?
Yes.
Okay, they do? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Maul is holding Satine by the throat when he kills her.
That's right. Okay. So
I think
it is not just Vader, but certainly it's a big Vader thing.
It's not. Yeah. As far as like actual movies, I think in the original and prequel series, we probably only see Anakin / Vader do it.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so that was the really big part I wanted to talk about, especially, but there's also so much more to these episodes. What do you want to talk? Where do you want to go first?
Let's talk about the bounty hunters. We got a lot of fun guys.
Yeah.
I mean, even starting at the jail, we got to see Bosk. We got to see Boba Fett as a little teenager being a little piece of shit.
Yeah, and I like one thing that's been pretty well established in this universe is that these people aren't all hiding from the law because the law is everywhere. There's a lot of places in the galaxy that are still pretty lawless where everyone just knows, oh, you want a bounty hunter, go to this bar. This is where they all hang out. And I like that, the guy who thinks that he killed, so basically what happens is a sniper actually tries to kill Obi-Wan. He doesn't. He comes close, which is one of those things where the whole plot feels like it could have gone very wrong, but putting that aside, and he just basically goes into this bar and is like bragging about the fact that he killed Obi-Wan. Generally you're not supposed to do that because cops will find out or something. So
yeah,
that was just kind of a fun reminder of like, yeah, no, this is still all this time in a lot of places.
Yeah. And we're probably, I mean, they're still on Coruscant at that point, so he's probably deep in the underworld, and that's pretty established throughout the show that the underworld, although they do have Coruscant underworld police, they don't get too much shit done.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. So yeah, so what are some of the other bounty hunters that you saw that were kind of cool?
Well, one thing that was fun was that when they're in jail, because they go and capture Obi-Wan disguised as Reiko Hardeen, and they take him to prison, and that was his in to meet up with Moralo Eval, who they know is heading this plot to kidnap the Chancellor. Right. So he goes to jail and then has to kind of prove that he's got like balls. He like, some guys are trying to bully him. He stabs a shark and goes, "This food is shit." I mean, not that. I wonder if you'd taste better. Like, basically, and then later on, we see Cad Bane basically hired Boba Fett to go attack Reiko Hardeen and start a fight so that he could get away. Cad Bane and Moralo Eval could escape together. Also, it was fun because we see this very shortly in the future. I think it might even be the next episode arc or maybe 2 arcs away, where we see Boba Fett and his squad together. And so I liked when Obi-Wan's like, "Really, kid, you want to do this?" and kind of like whoops Boba's ass. And Bosk comes up behind him and he's like, "You got a problem with Boba? You got a problem with me?" and just yeets him across the entire lunchroom. And Obi-Wan's like, "Fuck, not a Trandoshan." And then, a riot breaks out. Everything goes from there. And Cad Bane and Moralo Eval escape. Reiko Hardeen kind of pushes his way into the escape as well. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I really liked, we mentioned Cad Bane. Every time we've seen him up till now, he's always the leader. And in this, Eval is officially the leader of this whole thing. He's hired Cad Bane. And we kind of learn over the course of these episodes, Eval's kind of an idiot, and he thinks he's in control. He starts trying to maybe kill Hardeen, Obi-Wan in the Hardeen outfit disguise without realizing who he is. And at that point, Cad Bane kind of takes over because Dooku's obviously behind all this. Dooku is seeing it, and for me, I love Cad Bane. I thought this was a great set of episodes for Cad Bane because you really get to see that even when he's not in charge, he's still gonna find a way to make himself the leader and to find a way to make the people who are trying to be the leaders look like idiots.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a smart cookie, that's for sure.
Mhm.
I also thought it was fun. I think this might be the first time we see him without his hat.
Yep. And we see that he's pretty much like the collection of cool hats is pretty interesting. And generally you should learn that if Cad Bane likes your hat, he's probably going to shoot you or find a way to get you dead if you don't give him that hat immediately. And so we get to see like he moves from one hat to another because one of the bounty hunters, like he likes his hat and then he just finds a way to shoot him.
Yeah, and that kind of brings us to the center of how this plot works. So, they escaped, but now they need to put together like an ideal bounty hunter team. And Moralo Eval has come up with this not Suicide Squad, Squid Games type testing center that he calls the box. And it has all these different things that they have to work through that are mimicking the trouble that they will confront while trying to kidnap the Chancellor. And so we see Reiko Hardin bails everyone out in the first two situations. One of them is gas. The other one is, I don't know, I think it was like moving blocks that had lightsaber-y things on them.
Right. Well, things were electrified.
Yeah, exactly. And they lose a couple bounty hunters along the way. And then Dooku is like, oh, I sense something different about this one. Like, it's a little suspicious. Like, and Moralo Eval's like, fuck that guy. Because now he's mad that Reiko Hardin's looking better than him. And he's like, well, I wonder what it's going to be like when he's not the key to their escape. And the next one, there's this electrolyte serum that someone has to inject into themselves to be able to pass through a ray shield, but it's poisonous to everyone except for one person. And everyone's like, oh, fuck, what does that mean? Obi-Wan, big old brain, he's like, it's got to be the Parwan, which is a species. And he says, like, everyone's like, are you sure? And he's like, well, depends on the Parwan. It depends on the blood type, really. And the Parwan goes, he gets through the ray shield and has them all escape. And somebody asks, like, how the fuck did you know that? And Obi-Wan's like, I used to kill Parwans for a living. And the other bounty hunter's like, what? But he like speaks an alien language, so he's just like, like,
yeah, the Parwan is a great design. It's 3-eyed and kind of looks just like a little bit more. It looks kind of like something like from Futurama or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen Parwan again, have we?
Probably in the background of a bar scene, but I don't think they've been a featured character that I'm aware of in visual media that I've seen.
Yeah. But yeah, that's definitely one of the struggles that Obi-Wan is going through here is how do you, like the fact that he has to survive, obviously. And to some extent, he has to use his Jedi powers in order to survive. And how do you do that without it being shown? Like he probably could have stopped Bosk from kicking him halfway across that prison. But, using the Force, it's going to immediately out him as he's not just a Jedi hunter.
Everyone would be like, well, that's not a human.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it was very...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say it was interesting because they had these like elite bounty hunters. They give them a little intro. They included Embo, who is one of my favorite bounty hunters. He's the guy with a big old hat, and it's not featured in this episode, but he often has a kind of wolf dog with him as well. But yeah, Moralo Eval tells him at the start, like, well, we'll see who survives the box. We need 5 people. If extra people survive, we have to kill you because we can't compromise this plan. Sorry. Yeah. So it's high stakes from the start.
And this is definitely one of those moments where you sort of wonder, like, why would you volunteer for this? Like, I guess there has to be a fundamental self-confidence of assuming you're going to be one of those 5. And maybe there's just like an astronomical reward that's part of this. But you do sort of look at it and think, okay, well, I don't need to be one of your 5. I can just go hunt, bounties over here. Thanks. Peace out.
I could be wrong, but I think, because I kind of noted this when I was watching it, that they were like, okay, do you guys all want to like chance at this job? And they were like, yeah. And then he's like, cool, locked in. Yeah. We have to kill the extras though. And they're like, okay, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But now everyone's too like egotistical to be like, maybe I'm good though. Because
that's
then
fair.
If you try to leave, you get shot.
Yeah. No, they don't really know what they're signing up for in advance. That's definitely true.
Yeah. And Dooku just kind of convinces them being like, you will have a fortune more than you could ever imagine, because Mr. Sereno's been bleeding his planet dry of their money.
And I have to say, I do really like the fact that they're willing to kill off so many of them because, and granted, it's never gruesome. We don't really see people die in horrible way. I mean, it's implied, they fall into fire, or they get stabbed with electric lightsaber type things. But, if there's a frustration with Star Wars, it's sometimes that they introduce so many great characters, and then they always want to be able to bring a character back, so they never actually die. Often they get imprisoned or stunned or whatever, and it's just the nameless stormtroopers and whatever, and rebel fighters and clones who get killed. And there have been some clones who died in the show that we've talked about for sure, but not many. And so, creating all of these really interesting designs of bounty hunters and then killing them off one by one, I definitely, the first time I saw this, was like, oh, okay, we're really going there. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool. And one thing I thought was funny is one of the original bounty hunters that was there, they said that he was the inventor of this like special kind of hologram where you can like step into it and have a
shadow
disguise. Shadow hologram. Well, they fucking kill him and then they steal his technology and use it anyways.
Yeah. There's not much respect for patents and stuff like that in this world.
Yeah, little to none.
Yeah. Always build in a little like, you need me to use the technology, or else you're not going to last very long. Yeah,
and he was cooked. I think he fell into the fire. But
have we seen Morello Eval before this? I think this is the first time we see him, right?
Yes, this is the introduction of Morello Eval. I think the only bounty hunters we've seen before are Embo and Cad Bane.
Yeah, I think that's right. And Bosk and Boba. We don't see them.
Of course.
They don't go into the box. Perhaps a sign. I mean, Boba is supposed to be very smart, and perhaps a sign that Boba kind of saw through this and was like, "No, I don't want any of my people getting involved with this." But well, we're definitely trying to keep these episodes a little shorter. So, and this is a great arc, but I don't know if there's too much more to say about it. But often I know you write down some things, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
I do. So one thing I thought was interesting in the first episode is when they go to prison, Obi-Wan goes to be taken to his cell. And he rolls up to the cell, steps in, and it's Morello Eval. And he's like, oh, what a coincidence. And Eval's like, it's not a coincidence. I run this bitch, basically. Yeah. And so I just found it very interesting because the place is staffed by clones. It's not Senate guards. It's not, your average person. It's actual clones. And the fact that some of them would be like on the take, quote, quote, was so interesting to me. And it just shows obviously the individuality. And if you're placed in different situations, you have different priorities. Like we saw in, I think it was season 1, there was an episode where a guy like sold everyone out.
Yeah.
For some money. Cause he was like, fuck this war. You're killing my brothers. Therefore I'm going to take out a bunch of my brothers and get some money and go.
And to me, that's a statement about the clones, but it's also a statement about the real world in that, not so much this even like commenting as much as saying like the real world factor would happen here. One of the reasons there's been some great studies on this, that you do often get, corrupt prison guards and stuff like that, is that guarding prisoners is a real kind of like soul deadening activity, in terms of like what you have to do and the risks that you take and the paranoia you have to have. And, so often we've seen that when clones are in the field, like they have great leaders like Rex and other clones who are constantly like, rah, rah, we're fighting for each other. We're fighting for our brothers. And you're constantly under attack by the droids and all that. The prison guards don't have that. They're not getting the rah, rah. They're not out on the battlefield. They're just doing this terrible job. And so, I don't think lots of members of the 501st would go corrupt like this. But when those same clones are put into prison guard, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. No, that's a great point that I hadn't connected to reality. I mean, I have a family member who joined the National Guard to, get money for college, ended up as a guard in Guantanamo Bay.
Oh, Jesus.
And was targeted by the prisoners, and they've never been the same.
Yeah.
I'm sure. You can just see how their soul is crushed. It's so sad.
Yeah.
So that's a great point that you brought up. Oh, my favorite. I wrote this down because I knew it would piss you off. Sorry. I thought it was fine. Funny.
Let's hear it.
When Reiko Hardeen walks into the seedy bar right after killing Obi-Wan, we hear in the background this woman go, I'd like to check his midichlorian count. And then she like goes up and flirts with him. It's so funny. I just thought that was.
I it didn't even piss me off as much. It was just like, what?
It's like, why does this random lady know about that?
Oh, and it's just like, I get you're trying to make midichlorians a thing. Is it from Clueless where there's some show about like
stop trying to make it a thing. Stop trying to make fetch
a thing. Yeah, exactly. I was just like, Lucas.
I think it's Mean Girls.
Mean Girls. Thank you. Yeah, stop trying to make midichlorians a thing. It's like fetch. It's never gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
Because it was just such a random reference out of nowhere.
Yeah. I thought it was funny.
I like it.
And then I have another little interaction between Anakin and Ahsoka as they're pulling up on Nal Hutta, trying to see like, oh, we got intel that the bounty hunters are here. And Ahsoka goes, look, there's Cad Bane. Anakin goes, are you sure it's him? She goes, ugh, who else wears a hat like that? And Anakin goes, good point.
Yeah.
I just thought that was great. That it's like, because that's something Obi-Wan commented on too. Once they got out of their prison like uniforms, he was like, we're trying to blend in and you gotta have this big ass hat. Like, doesn't that make you stand out? And then he's immediately proved right, but they don't see that, but we all see it as the audience. I thought that was fun.
And to me, it's one more statement of just how badass Cad Bane is, that he's like, yeah, I don't need to blend in. I don't care. People can know I'm Cad Bane. What are they gonna do?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bane's an icon.
Mm-hmm.
Bane is an icon. And then the last thing I had written down for these episodes was just a quote from Anakin to show how close to the dark side he was when he comes across Dooku. Because Dooku sends out like, well, we know Palpatine planned it, but supposedly Dooku sent out a fake invite for a banquet, and Palpatine asks Anakin to escort him, and Palpatine sends all the other guards away, and they show up, and it's just an empty banquet hall with Dooku at the head of the table.
Mm-hmm.
And Anakin says to Dooku, you should have quit while you were still alive, Dooku.
Yeah.
Not ahead. Still alive.
Yeah. That's not, I'm going to capture you. That's not, I'm going to try and disarm you. And that's, I'm going to kill you.
I'm going to fucking kill you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anakin well on the path to the dark side by this point.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. It's something I've said before, but I think this is such a great episode of highlighting it, that I think the Alex and I will disagree, and he can come back and make the point. I didn't think the prequels did the best job of showing his fall to the dark side. I think the Clone Wars show really helps to fill in, and maybe it's in part because you have to have a much longer period of time than you can do in 2 movies, 3 movies. But yeah, I do think this is just such a brilliant way of just subtly showing one step at a time that he's falling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was a very important arc in Anakin's fall, in my opinion.
Very much so. And yeah, especially with that kind of, as you said, like he breaks with the Obi-Wan a bit, he breaks with the Council, and Palpatine's right there just going like, oh, you poor guy, they didn't trust you. Mm-hmm. Well, I think you did the right thing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you as always. This has been a great episode. Fans, let us know what you think. We want to hear what you have to say about these episodes, about other episodes we're going to be doing. I will also say that while we are enjoying our coverage of the Clone Wars, we'll probably continue that through February, and then we're going to start getting ready for Maul. The show is coming out at the end of March. We're going to do some preparation shows in March, and then we'll be giving you episode by episode coverage when that show comes out. So, and then it won't be much longer after that we get the Mando and Grogu movie. So keep track of all that. Lots of great Star Wars things coming out, and we will be back here to cover it. So until then, on behalf of myself, Erin, and Alex, thank you so much for listening. Fuck Ice.
Ice out.
Ice out.